you.
Hello everybody and welcome back to our new YouTube video. We're making new wardrobes.
As you can see, I've got my 2 apprentices today and we're just going to be building our built-in wardrobes. Just going to show you the process and do a little tutorial. So first off, we're going to work out the size of our carcasses. So we've got our opening here, which is 1600 width. So my fillers around the carcasses are going to be 18mm around it all, just to frame it nicely. So with 80mm on that side and this side, that equals 160mm. So I've got to take that off my width, which gives me the width of 1440mm then. And because I'm having a double carcass and a single carcass, I divide that by 3, which gives me 480. So that's the width for my single carcass. And then to get my double carcass, just times it by 2, which gives me 960. So they're the widths of my carcasses. And then height now is just from my base here that I've already levelled in, just a timber base. I've levelled it slightly higher than my skirting, just to run that through nicely. I'll measure from the top of my base to the ceiling, and then deduct my 80mm, which gives me 150mm. So that's the height of my carcass. And yeah, so I've got the width and heights, so let's get them built now. The internals, we're using a 18mm chipboard veneer. We've got a nice cashmere colour on these, nice neutral colour. Yeah, you can use 18mm MDF though, slightly cheaper material. And then if you went down that route as well, if you go to your supplier, take a cut list, you can get it all cut there, so save you the hassle of that. So yeah, cut all the components now. So the depth of my carcasses are 570, so the width is 570, and then the height is obviously 2150. So all my sides are cut to 2150 length, and then this is my double carcass, which the width is 960. So because I've got 18mm either side, I deduct the 36mm, which gives me 924 top and bottom. So yeah, we'll get them screwed up now. So I've countersunk that material, and then I'm going to pilot hole into the other material to give me a nice secure fixing, and then screw it all up. So I'll get the other side screwed on, and I'll get my back on also. So I've flipped my carcass round, I've cut my back. Top tip for this, you want to make sure your back is nice and square, because when you screw it up, it'll keep your carcass nice and square. So what I've done is just use a 9mm chipboard veneer, but if you use an MDF, just use a 9mm MDF. Go around, screw every 8 inch or so, just so it's fully secure. So we'll get, yeah. So I'll let these screw it up now. So what you want to do is just put your screw in here, and then you want to make sure it's nice and straight, and then just press a button. Can you do that? Yeah, buddy. Who's going first? Right, put it on there, and then you press the trigger, nice and steady. Go on, and again. Nice. Nice and slow, do what I've done before. And again. Yeah, lovely. Cheers, boys. So I've countersunk every 8 inch, and then I've pilot holed into the carcass as well. So yeah, let's just get it all screwed up all the way around now. Oh no. You love being in the video, don't you? You want to be famous, do you? Okay, so we've got a final carcass made up now. This was our single carcass. So same again, we've cut our length to 2150, that was our height. And then our in-betweens, so this was 480, and then we've taken away the 36mm to allow for our 18mm material. Screwed it all up, got our back on nice and square again. So yeah, we'll get this one in place now. So I've got both carcasses in now. Right, I've got both carcasses in now. So yeah, we're just gonna get them screwed together. What you want to do is make sure this is nice and flush. So what I'll do is clamp it all together, and then what I'll do also is I'll mark where the hinges for my doors are going, and then I'll countersink there, so then it hides the fixing. Just a little tip. So we'll get them screwed up. Yeah, so we'll get this all screwed up now. Just making sure that's nice and flush. And I'm using 30mm screws because obviously I've got 36mm to play with. Adding LEDs, so it's a 6mm by 6mm profile. So I've routed out the slot here for it, and then these just sit in, nice and flush there. And so how these will work is I'll have a sensor up here, so when my door opens, they come on automatically, and when I close the door, they turn off automatically, which is a lovely little detail. Yeah, so we'll get them in now. So we've got the LEDs in now. Next thing is the shelves and rails. So all I do there is, I'm determined by this at the minute, but it's landed pretty good, similar to over there, 320 from the top. So I've put my pegs in now, mark level, and all I do is use these shelf pegs here. They're a 5mm shelf peg, so you just drill a 5mm hole, mark it all level like I said, and I'll use my little drill bit here, 5mm. And it just slots in. Yeah, just put plenty in just to support the shelf. And just slide the shelf in. As so. So yeah, I've just cut the shelf slightly back just so it doesn't interfere with the LEDs. And yeah, if you're not having LEDs, just do the same, or similar, because obviously you don't want it to interfere with your hinges either. So yeah, the rails then, all you do is set your centre hole to the middle of your carcass, and then you've got these brackets here. Just screw into the side of the carcass, get them in place, and then just cut your rail, and that just slots in. So we'll get our shelves and rails in now.
That's the carcasses done. Next thing is the doors. Let's go!
So as the boys said, doors next. We're going to go for a shaker style door with a nice bead detail. We're going to go Oxford stone, as the walls are Joey's white, so it's a nice contrast. So yeah, let's get cracking. Because I've set my carcasses out equally, I'm going to have equal sized doors. So the width and height will be the same on all my doors. So how I get that measurement is, take the total width of my carcass, and then because I'm going to have 3mm margins in between, I'll have 4 spaces between the 3 doors, which gives me 4 times 3 gives me 12mm. So take 12mm off my total width, divide it by 3, that'll give me the width of my door. Height of my door is just total height, take away 6mm to allow top and bottom 3mm. So yeah, I've got the height and width of my doors, let's go get them made. I've got my first door made up now, I'll explain the process of how I've made it. So I've cut my 18mm MDF to the size I explained beforehand. I've got my 80mm rails surrounding the door, so sides, top and bottom. 6mm MDF, I've just mitre glued them on. And then my middle rail is 120mm. I've also got a little bead detail just following it all the way around, just to add that little bit of classy detail to it. So yeah, how I do it, like I said, I've got my 80mm MDF all cut up here ready. I've got my rails here, so I've got my 80mm rails all cut up. I'll sand them and put a little round on them, and then I've got my 120mm as well for the middle rail. So now I've got my rails and bead on, what I'll do now is just sand the edges with some 120 grit, just to ensure the rails are sitting nice and flush. Once it's sanded, I'll just hit it with the router, just to give it a little round over detail on the edge also. Once my edges are sanded and rounded over, I'll just hit the edges with some MDF sealer, just to seal the edges to help take the paint a bit better. With these concealed hinges, what you want to do is come in 22.5mm from the edge your door is hanging from, And then what I do is mark 120mm from top, 120mm from bottom, and then I'm having 5 hinges on this, so I've just spaced them out equally in between then. And then all you do then is just get your 35mm Forstner bit, drill where you've marked to the depth of your hinge. So that'll sit in there nicely. Get the rest of them drilled out now. Once they're all drilled out, I'll just use a straight edge then, just to line them up all nicely. And then screw them in place where they are then. And we've got 80mm rails on the sides, top and bottom, and then we've got a 120mm rail in the centre here, and then we've got a bead detail just going all the way around the shaker, just to add that extra bit of detail. So now I've made all my doors, I've hung them just to make sure they're working properly. So now I'm happy with them, I'll get them back off to paint. So I'll put 2 coats of primer on, 2 coats of top coat, and then whilst I'm doing that, in between painting, I'll make the surround of the carcasses. So I've sanded down the edges with some 240 grit just to smooth off that MDF sealer, and now I'm going to prime it with some Cinza bin. So it's a shellac based primer. I just find I get the best results on MDF with this stuff. You can use an MDF primer which is water based, so it's a bit easier to use, but yeah, I get the best results with Cinza bin. So I'll put 2 coats of that on now, and in between I'll 240 grit the edges as well. Right, okay. So now my 2 coats of primer have gone off, I've left that overnight to go rock hard. All I'll do now is sand it up with some 240 grit, get it nice and even and level, just so my top coat goes on nice and even. So yeah, I'll just sand all the panels with my orbital, and then I'll get in all the details with just a bit of hand sandpaper. So I'm just framing around the carcass now, and all I've done is screw a piece of 80mm MDF to the side of my carcass. I've just screwed where my hinges are so you won't see them screws, and then all I do then is scribe this piece, this side piece in here now. So I've scribed that in already, and then that's nice and flush with there, so that's set back to allow for my doors to open and close nicely, and it'll run through flush also. So yeah, how I fix that then now is just, I'll put a bit of glue on it and pin it. And all you got to do then is just cork around it, fill your holes and paint it in place. So doors are all painted, I've got the frames around the carcasses painted, I've put the hinges back on the doors, so let's get them hung. So we're putting these knobs on, so all I want to do is find the middle of the rail this way and the middle of this rail. So I'll just mark it out with my set square. And then all I do is clamp a bit of scrap wood to the back of the door to stop any blowout when I'm drilling. And use my pilot drill bit to just drill through that hole there, nice and straight. And just screw your knob on. Bash. One on, I'll just get the rest of them on now and we'll be finished. So that's the wardrobe's complete now. I'll just show you the LEDs working. So when I open the door, it just activates the sensor. Bash. Same in here. And then when you shut the door, it just blinds the sensor to turn them off. Nice soft closing hinges as well. So yeah, if you found the video useful, give us a like. If you've got any questions, drop us a comment. And if you want to catch us on the next one, subscribe.
Like, comment and subscribe.